This video is the long delayed follow-up to my video about getting into Lolita fashion. So if you want to hear about how I did that and my fashion journey, then please check out that video first. So I rewatched my first Lolita video to prepare for making this one, and even at the end of that video, despite liking how the video came out otherwise, it was very clear that I was not satisfied with the final product. So for my first coord, I think I did really well. I feel like the outfit flows together, it fits together well, and it is definitely a look. But I kind of feel like it's a betrayal of myself. Looking at all of the all black outfits that I picked out before, I had practicality in mind, but I do kind of wish I had gone more that route, and I will in the future. So I won't be defeated. And one of the comments on that original video actually brought up Ouji fashion, and my response to that was, I thought about Ouji, but most of my cosplays are young boy characters, so I'd rather Lolita be my chance to dress girly. More of a reflection of the real me and not a costume. I'm not opposed to an Ouji coord, but it'd have to really leave me shook. So wanting to rectify my error of compromising with that first look, I did end up buying the Innocent World dress that I said I wanted, and I wore it to my very first meetup in Lolita. And I liked that look, but the whole time I was wearing it, I wasn't completely feeling it. It felt more like I had put something together in an attempt to have an outfit than like an outfit I really wanted to wear. And I think that's something important to assess when you're trying to find your style, that even if a look is objectively good, if you're not feeling it, you're not feeling it. So I eventually ended up parting with that dress and then went on a weird journey where Lolita messed with my head a bit. And this is the second time I have written this video because the first time was in the midst of it messing with my head. And then I broke free from that. And when I came back to finish this video, I realized that my headspace was completely different and I would have to start from scratch. But for my personal style, I feel very comfortable in a boyish look. I find this look to be very cute and very charming, and you always dress for yourself, not other people, but I have gotten more compliments than ever in my life since I started dressing in this style. And part of it, you could say that, oh, it really suits me, so it looks nice, but I think a part of it too is just that I feel more confident and I feel better dressing in this style. So this is my style. And I think one way that this style has really helped me to feel more confident is that it tackles a lot of things about my appearance that I was unhappy with before. One of those would be my hair. So I really like my hair in theory. It has lovely waves, but in practice, especially when it was long, when I was younger, it went to the middle of my back. It's heavy. It's difficult to brush. I don't really have it in me to care for it. It gets greasy really easily. And when I learned that I could cut my hair short and that I liked how I looked with it, it was a game changer. And prior to this, I never really got compliments on my hair. I never felt like my hair was doing anything for me. It was just there. But now that I have shorter hair, I feel like my hair is really part of my look and like it elevates my style in a way it never did before. So, short haired look, that's cute. Love the short haired look. So then moving on from just the hair, we have the way that I dress, which would be the boyish style. And I don't want to make this like a heavy video about my insecurities or anything, but it's helped me play into something about myself, which is the fact that I am just not very curvy. I do not have a mature body type. which has been interesting, I think, on the way that I perceive myself as an adult woman. And the way that people perceive me, it's an interesting thing to think about. I'm not really going to go into it here, but it's just know that it's always been there. Is the fact that I'm not very curvy. But there's a lot of styles, especially I think once you make the change from child to adult, where it's like, oh, these are woman clothes, you know, these are the cuts. The cuts that women wear, these are the shapes that you wear now as an adult. And there were so many looks that I never liked how I looked on myself. One would be a scoop neck. So right now what I'm wearing is a high neck, but a scoop neck or like a boat neck is something that exposes more of your shoulders, or even something that would have cleavage. I do not have enough bust to make cleavage. So I would wear these, you know, women's dresses because I am a woman, and it would be empty there. So I had to learn to dress myself, and I had to learn the shapes that are appealing on me. And it took me a very long time to figure out like what my body type was, because usually they show you to measure your bust, waist, and hips. And according to those, I have an hourglass shape, which is like, that can't be right. So one day I learned to also include your shoulders, and that made everything click for me, because I have what's called the inverted triangle body type, which is the shoulders. My shoulders are the widest part of my body. My shoulders are also very square. And I'm not saying any of this stuff like it's not coming from a place of self-hatred or self-deprecation. It's more like I grew up not liking how I looked, and I never understood why. And for me, that has been a really refreshing and nice way of looking at myself. I think no matter what body type you have, there are different ways that you can cater to it. This video is not necessarily to give style advice. I don't feel qualified to give something like that. I guess I just like to talk about how I have my own personal journey and how I have perceived things, and maybe that will help someone else. So with Lolita, I had wanted to pursue a more feminine aesthetic inside of me, but there was already the fact that in my daily life, I had really found myself in this more boyish style, and that was very difficult to contend with. Also, in that first draft of this OG fashion video, I had decided I would only do OG fashion, and where I am at now, I'm actually doing both. But even then, it took me a while with the dresses to figure out exactly what kinds of dresses it was that I liked and that looked good on me. And I think that where I have landed at now, I still don't have a lot of pieces, because Lolita is my third hobby on the ranking of importance. And as part of that, I finally said, okay, I will try OG fashion. And I think OG fashion is sort of what saved Lolita for me. I really love the community aspect of Lolita. That's something that I miss in other hobbies or have had a hard time getting. And I really, really wanted to be part of the community, but it was hard when I didn't like what I was wearing. So I think that the social aspect, wanting to participate in the social aspect, is a big part of what pushed me to keep going for Lolita. I had also made friends who I wanted to keep seeing, or, I have a friend who I helped get into the fashion. So for me to then be like, oh, bye, I changed my mind. I had to stay in it. But it was sort of like a challenge. There were definitely times before meets where it's like, I don't want to keep doing this. Why am I still trying? But just the idea that I could eventually find a style that I was satisfied with and that I would get really pushed me. And then once I was comfortable making OG looks, I started to feel the yearn for the dresses as well. And that's why I have a couple dresses now. For those not familiar with OG fashion, it is the princely equivalent to Lolita. And of course, the biggest thing differentiating the two is that it uses shorts or pants instead of dresses. So the Ouji style that I see most often is the young princely aesthetic with the knee socks and the shorts. But there is also a more mature, older princely style that I see. I tend to see that one more in military or aristocratic. So I am very picky with Lolita, and I think one of the things that made the style difficult for me to adapt to was that a lot of the classic, and by classic I don't mean the style classic, but I mean a lot of the quintessential Lolita outfits are not something I totally like. So I had to find my own way in that regard, and it was similar with Ouji. Something you'll see a lot with Ouji is bloomers and very frilly tops, frilly sleeves, lots of laciness, and that's not quite for me. What I like a lot is the academic style. It uses a lot more straight lines, and it has more of a cleanness to it as opposed to an opulence. I think that now that I have started to wear the fashion more, I would be okay with leaning more into the frilly style, but when I put on something that feels like me, it tends to be more straight cut. So that for sure was an issue I had. And the very first time that I wore Ouji this was a burning the midnight oil kind of decision, where I had a meet at a garden the very next day, and I'd already bought my tickets. I was giving my friend a ride. There was no backing out. I really wanted to go, but I could not put a coord together, and I don't even know how, but I just said in my head, I'm gonna try Ouji. And that was how I put my first look together. My first look, well, actually, what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to go over each Ouji look that I put together. I'm going to talk about all of the pieces that I acquired for it, and you can kind of see how I have found my way in the fashion. To be honest, I feel like I haven't completely found my way in the fashion yet, in the sense that I'm not like consistently putting together bangers, but I'm happy with what I wear, and I can feel my style starting to grow. And I think as I know what kinds of pieces I want to look for, it will get better. So I think the best thing to do for that would be to just get started now. So going back to that first look, this is the one that I wore to the garden. And a thing that has been key in my Ouji fashion is drawing on my pre-existing dark academia wardrobe. I don't want to be a lifestyle Lolita, but I also really like the idea of my Lolita wardrobe being able to coordinate well into my regular wardrobe. So for this look, honestly, it's giving paperboy just a little bit. But I really liked the cut of it. I liked the academic feel, and I felt really good. Like, this was super fun to wear. And a lot of what I'm wearing is just stuff from my wardrobe. So these were shoes that I thrifted, and I just really love them. But I think for the coord, they added something extra. I do have plain pleather brown shoes, but I love that I was able to have these and make it look like I really put thought into it, when the truth is they were just things I already had. And then of course the Jane Marple jacket. I had gotten this when I bought the Innocent World dress that I ended up parting with. I just bought this because I liked it, and I haven't had as many opportunities to wear it as I like, but I'm really glad that I was able to wear it that day. And I think that having that one like branded piece is really what allowed me to pull off this Ouji look on a whim with so many things that were just from my wardrobe. And I think even though this was like really giving paperboy, I think that the spirit is there, and that once I gather more pieces, I can pull off this look in a way that is more like convincing. I'm popping in with a voiceover because the way I originally explained this was kind of strange. But what I wanted to introduce was the idea that even if you have to start with things that are from your wardrobe, from the thrift store, not necessarily from a Lolita brand, that over time you can replace those items with things that are more fancy and more detailed. So this hat right here is one that I had from H&M. Standard paperboy hat, not much to write home about, but it is a specific style. And by just keeping my eye out, eventually I was able to obtain this hat to replace it. So this is something I was actually given. It is vintage, I believe, from the 60s. And you can see it's a similar shape, it's even a similar color, that it is just so much more visually interesting. And I wore that cord the way I did the first time, but next time I wear it, I would like to wear it with this hat, which is just more interesting. And I think there are plenty of ways that you can replace standard looking items. So the next time I wore Ouji was to a fruit-themed meetup. I didn't have anything fruit-themed except for a little strawberry pin, so I kind of wasn't fruit-themed. But what mattered is that I went and that I had a good time. So for this one, I went for a black look. So the kimono jacket is something that's also from my wardrobe. I wear it every now and then, like with pants. I think it looks really cool. And admittedly, I was already running out of ways to make my Ouji fashion really like look better than, you know, a paperboy. And the first time it was that Jane Marple jacket that saved it. So this time I brought in another statement jacket, which was that kimono. I do really like the Wa Loli fashions, which will use kimono sleeves, and I've seen ones that use haoris before. I really like those, so that's definitely what I was going for here. I still like this look. I think it was pretty unique and dapper. You may notice that I'm not wearing a hat, and that is because, first off, I didn't like how oversized my hat was for the first cord, and through my time being into Lolita and dark academia has been like a fight to get myself to be into hats. I just don't like the way they feel on my head, or I didn't. I'm okay with it now, but I had to become acclimated to wearing hats. So with this one, I even brought a hat, but I just never wore it. But I would be okay to return to this look, perhaps with a hat and maybe some fancier shorts. I think that's a way that it could be elevated. But one thing that I am really happy with from this cord was my socks. So in the first cord, I had just plain brown socks. And I think that one way that you can really elevate your cord, but in a way that like all you have to do is keep an eye out for interesting socks. There are really interesting like branded Lolita socks, and honestly those will probably always be a little bit cooler than what you can find at the store. But the socks I was wearing that day, which I have right here, they were actually from a gift shop in Canada. So I got them because I really liked the colors. A lot of times socks that you'll find will have like bacon on them or something kind of silly, but I love botanicals and I always keep an eye out for botanical type things. So these are some socks that I have gathered for my possible Ouji wardrobe. But other socks that I have are like these Argyle socks. I got these from the dollar store. And these Japanese pattern socks, which I got from a Japanese bookstore. So I think these are a great way to kind of jazz up a closet Ouji cord or a more advanced Ouji cord, just to kind of show that you aren't a paper boy. But at this point, I was ready to commit to more solidly Ouji pieces and not just things from my wardrobe. And that was when I got this salopette. So I was on Wonderwell, which is where I get, honestly, most of my actual branded pieces. I saw this and I was like immediately drawn to it. You know, sometimes you'll keep a running wish list of things that are vaguely interesting to you. Like, oh, if I had to, I would happily buy any of these things. But when I saw this, I had to have it. So I actually got it with some birthday money. And this was my first time wearing it. This was a meet we had at an equestrian center. We got to pose with a pony. And I was going for sort of a young lord of the manor look. The blazer was to carry across the young lord of the manor look, and the headpiece was to make me look like a regal young lord of the manor. Unfortunately, this is the first coord that I just didn't jive with, and I think that whole day I felt kind of off. I actually did have like a crisis talk with my friend afterwards. No, that was different. This was leading up to a crisis talk with my friend where I was like, I just don't feel good. So this is the blouse that I got at the Com swap meet. And this is actually my first actual Lolita blouse. A lot of the blouses I wear are just things from my wardrobe. And I think what makes the things from my wardrobe work more so than this blouse is that I'm comfortable with them and they're already my style. And I think this is another example of me trying to compromise or trying to not feeling Lolita enough and like I need a Lolita blouse. So I like this blouse in theory. It has the ruffles that go all the way up to the neck. But every time I wear it, it just feels too frilly for me. And that was very much how I felt in this salopette. So in all of my favorite pictures with it, I am wearing the blazer. And the blazer is something that is from the thrift store as well. This was something that was in my wardrobe for a long time, and it eventually ended up getting ousted, and I used the fabric to make some doll clothes. So the blazer wasn't for me. This blouse isn't for me. I've kept it in the hopes that I will find a use for it, but honestly, every time I wear it, I'm just not feeling it. So this blouse's future hangs in the balance. And while I loved the knee socks in this look, I didn't like how the boots paired with it as much as I thought. So despite everything, I would say this is my first big dud. And don't worry, because the salopette will be back later. This next look I wore in October. We went to a historic cemetery, had a picnic, and took pictures. And this was the coord where afterwards I had to have a crisis talk with my friend because I wasn't sure what I wanted to keep doing in this fashion. So that was a bit of a trial. But prior to that, I actually did like this look that I put together, and I think the thing that really brought this look in was the BJD tights. I had bought these for a cosplay, and I think it was at like 6 a.m. that I was like, I'm gonna wear these tights, and my theme will be like haunted doll. And honestly, the only thing that carried that theme is that I brought 2 dolls with me. But I also don't think that anyone who ever looks at these pictures notices the BJD tights, but whatever. I went. So after the BJD tights, the other thing that really brought this in was the hat. This hat is something that I got at the thrift store. Yay! And I sort of have mixed feelings about this hat because I kind of don't love it, but it also really did bring the fit together. So I think I'm still fighting a bit with hats and trying to figure out the kind of hat that I want to wear. But yeah, I liked this look a good amount. This was also my first time trying heels with Ouji. I thought it would give me that French nobility look, and it may have also been a sign of my desire to return to Lolita. But despite all the complaining I've done, I actually do really like this look, and I would wear it again, and the pictures we took that day are some of my favorites ever. And it was at this point that I finally admitted to myself that I wanted to wear both fashions, and I started to buy Lolita again. So to give a quick Lolita intermission, the 2 pieces that I have are what I'm wearing right now, the Juliet at Justine sacred robe in black and white, and another one which is, I believe, by Emily Temple, and it looks almost identical. So I really love black and white. It has nothing to do with my Nier Automata era, but they are happening at the same time. And I also bought a coat that is black and white as well. So I've been having fun doing Lolita too. And I think that by coming into my own in Lolita, that actually helped me in Ouji as well. Maybe for the simple reason that it made me happier and it made me feel like I had more options and more things to play with. Like I said, I do prefer to wear Ouji, but it's fun every now and then to switch it up. The final Ouji look that I'll be covering is my most recent one and the one that I'm most happy with. proof that we're getting somewhere. So this is the triumphant return of the salopette. This time I paired it with a black shirt from my wardrobe. This is one of my favorite shirts. I love the high neck. I love the pleats. It feels very elegant. And by having the shirt underneath the salopette be black, I think the white really, really pops. Once again, in my black and white era. I also added sock garters. I started wearing these with cosplay, but I also got them with the intention of wearing them with Ouji, just because I really love sock garters. I love how they look, and it adds some extra visual interest to the coord. I've also started wearing glasses chains, and I think this is another small detail that can really push a coord into the next level and take me farther away from Paperboy, who wears clothes from the closet. And that concludes all of the Ouji coords that I have worn to meets so far. Another thing that I have gotten has been an Axis Femme suit set. Since I started off with Ouji by wearing things that I found from my wardrobe that were not necessarily a paired suit, I've really wanted to have a suit, because of how deliberate it looks, how fancy it looks. I guess a suit would be like the Ouji equivalent of buying a one piece. And I initially wanted to get a plaid suit, but then when I saw this Axis Femme one, it reminded me of 9S, and it has the double buttons, and it's actually navy instead of black, but I felt like I couldn't live with myself knowing that I had passed up an outfit that reminds me of 9S. So I have had zero regrets about getting that, and I have yet to wear that to a meet, but I'm really looking forward to it, and I think it will make a fun and easy outfit. Other things that I have gotten have been a really cool like corset belt thing, and this is by Princess Chronicles and is meant to be worn with Ouji. So really looking forward to that. But in general, I do feel like I have started to understand Ouji more. I think it's a style that I already had a proclivity towards, and in this video I've kind of been like bashing myself for wearing things from my closet. But I mean, if you do that, there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it when I did it. What I'm getting at is that I'm building a wardrobe here, and I don't have a lot of money to spend on buying a full set, and I also don't necessarily like the style that is the most prominent on myself. So I've had a really good time just maneuvering, finding ways to build my own silhouette and my own style that I feel happy with, that I feel like myself in, and just doing things like keeping my eye out for socks that would look interesting, and different kinds of hats, trying to figure out which hats look good, and just having a good time. So I guess that's it. I guess that's what the video was about. This one is different than my first Lolita one, just in structure, but I hope you can see that I have become happier in the fashion, and it's exciting because I feel like I still have a long way to go, but I also feel like I'm really putting together looks that feel like bangers, and I mean, who doesn't want that? I've been able to find myself leaning more into Lolita styles that I couldn't see myself wearing before. Like right now, I'm wearing wrist cuffs, and I didn't really get wrist cuffs, but today I feel like I do. And I don't know, it's been a really good time. I was hoping to make more Lolita videos, but I don't know, we'll see. I would definitely like to make more Lolita videos, but I have to figure out a context for it. Maybe I'll do some DIY, maybe I'll do some like product reviews, we'll see. Lolita still doesn't have as big of a presence on my channel as I would like, but I felt like after I got good feedback on the first video and people seemed interested in it, and I had made the jump to Ouji and kind of grown, I felt like I needed to make another video to follow up on that and to end happily, to end positively instead of the last one. So with that said, thank you so much for watching. If you would like to see more Lolita stuff from me, maybe if you have any suggestions, maybe throw those out there. If you'd like to see more Lolita videos from me, if you could support this video, and then that will kind of help me. Even if I don't have any other Lolita videos like for my own fashion on the horizon, I do have several doll ones on the horizon. So I dress my dolls in Lolita if I can't wear it. So thank you so much. So do you like Lolita fashion? If you don't, or if you do, what made you click on this video? Did you see my first video and you've been waiting this whole time and I finally stopped disappointing you? What is your Lolita style? What is your sub style? Do you wear Ouji? Did this video make you interested in Ouji? And if you do wear Ouji, how do you source your pieces? And are there any kinds of pieces that you would like to have in your collection? So, alright, I hope you have a great day. Bye. Why did I end that like a phone call?